Tonight on To The Point, federal firefighters could soon lose tens of thousands of dollars. They're already struggling with staff.
With the situation, that's where we're kind of finding people are at their breaking point.
Billionaires want to build a new city. Nearby mayors are now divided on the idea. And a sexually violent predator could still be released. What's next after a judge's decision today? Good evening. Breaking news in Antelope. 3 KFC employees are shot. This happened at the KFC on Watt Avenue and Alberta Road. Investigators believe there are multiple suspects who left the scene in different directions. We have a crew there trying to get you some more information. Of course, we'll bring it to you as soon as we get it. This is To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. The people responsible for fighting fires on nearly half of all land in California could see their pay cut by tens of thousands of dollars if Congress doesn't act. U.S. Forest Service wildland firefighters battle flames in some of California's most remote areas. As our Becca Habecker shows us, they are already finding other jobs just to make ends meet.
The 2021 Tamarack fire started with a lightning strike on federal land. U.S. Forest Service wildland firefighters like Jacob Kennedy respond to these fires in the remote and rugged terrain of California's federally owned land.
I'm going to stick around because I love this agency.
Kennedy spoke with me in his role with the National Federation of Federal Employees, the union that represents U.S. Forest Service firefighters. He says he is seeing more and more highly skilled, well-trained federal firefighters jump ship for agencies with better pay, like CAL FIRE.
When we look at our pay and compensation and working conditions expectations, it's hard to really go home and look your family in the eye knowing you're not even able to really truly provide for them.
He has been with the Forest Service for nearly 15 years and makes just over $20 an hour.
With the situation, that's where we're kind of finding people are at their breaking point.
2 years ago, President Biden approved a 2-year retention bonus for federal firefighters. Even with that, other agencies are offering more. The base pay at CAL FIRE for an entry-level seasonal firefighter is almost $5,500 per month, not including overtime and benefits. An entry-level U.S. Forest Service wildland firefighter in Los Angeles, by comparison, makes about 20% less, and that's with the temporary bonus. But that pay increase is set to expire at the end of September, meaning federal firefighters could lose up to $20,000 per year starting October 1st, stoking fears of a mass exodus.
These folks aren't just courageous. The job they do is critically important.
Democratic Congressman Josh Harder, representing California's 9th District, is pushing a bipartisan bill that would make that temporary pay increase permanent.
The biggest argument that I hear is that somehow cutting firefighter salaries is going to save money. That makes absolutely no sense. We're spending tens of billions of dollars a year on these wildfires. The best thing that we can do is make sure that we have enough folks that can do the job so we can prevent these fires from going out of control in the first place.
The Congressional Budget Office estimates this would impact more than 17,000 federal firefighters nationwide.
And Becca Habecker joins us now. Becca, what does the U.S. Forest Service have to say about all this?
Well, in a recent press release, they said, "We are optimistic that Congress will send legislation regarding a permanent wildland firefighter pay fix to the president's desk. Further, we remain committed to doing everything we can to ensure all our wildland firefighters are rewarded for the dangerous, grueling work they do to protect communities, infrastructure, and natural resources." And Alex, Congress returns from recess on Tuesday after Labor Day weekend, and we'll resume considering the bill then.
All right, and we'll be watching this. Thank you, Becca. New developments in the Hawaii wildfires. Hawaii's governor is expected to give an update tonight on the search and recovery efforts on Maui. He has already told media that the number of people unaccounted for could be in the double digits rather than in the triple digits. The death toll on Maui remains at 115 people. The EPA is now assisting people on the island to remove hazardous waste. Once the area is considered safe, residents and business owners can return to hard-hit Lahaina. Meanwhile, FEMA, the agency meant to help people in their time of need, is facing a disaster funding shortage. President Joe Biden just told Congress the agency needs another $4 billion, pointing to the recent natural disasters across the nation. In other news, a sexually violent predator is still in custody. A judge denied his immediate release this morning. William Stevenson was first granted conditional transient release in Placer County in July. The judge says that Liberty Healthcare Group, the group supervising Stevenson, considered more than 1,200 locations in Placer County, but none of them worked out. Stevenson's attorney says not releasing him violated his due process rights. Placer County's district attorney spoke in court today, stressing the importance of community participation in this process.
Placer County community has spoken loudly. They have submitted their letters to us. They've been very active at our hearings and community meetings. They are engaged in this process because they care about their community, they care about our safety, and having their involvement and their engagement is invaluable in this entire process.
Stevenson spent decades behind bars for crimes including sexually assaulting women and possession of child pornography. A hearing will be held later this month about Stevenson possibly moving into an RV on a property in Placer County. And we've been speaking with the state hospital system about this case. We're told that it's been about 8 years since a sexually violent predator was released in Placer County, and there has never been a transient status release in the county. The man accused of at least 3 sexual assaults all the way back to 2010 is under arrest now in custody of the Sacramento County Jail. 35-year-old Kabe Cummings was arrested in New York where he lived. He worked for the city of Sacramento from 2008 to 2014 during the time of the accused sexual assaults. We heard from one of the victims following the arrest.
It all first happened. I was really hoping that the DNA and everything would help catch him. But as the years went by, I kind of lost hope. I feel like justice is being served. I feel at ease. I got my closure. I know who it is and that he's going to be paying for his huge mistakes.
A Sacramento County detective helped crack this case, and the process started back in November of 2021. A Stockton teacher who allegedly put racial slurs next to a student's seating chart has resigned, and this happened at Sierra Middle School. We first brought you this story yesterday. Today, the Lincoln Unified School District says they are working to get a new teacher in that classroom. And weeks after a suspected murderer escaped from the custody at hospital in Roseville, Placer County is planning to hire more deputies. According to a report from the sheriff's office, a deputy watching Eric Brill at the hospital was unaware that he had broke free from his restraints, and the deputy went to the restroom. Former Sacramento Sheriff Scott Jones looked at Placer County's policy, and he says that staffing shortages, policy deficiencies, and internal practices contributed to the escape.
Ideally, every person would be at least a 2-person transport, but that's not really practical for Placer just because of their staffing.
The Placer County Board of Supervisors approved 5 new deputy sheriff positions to focus on handling medical tasks and hospital transports. Next, on To the Point. Expect traffic on I-80 to be even worse this Labor Day weekend.
We're tracking showers and thunderstorms across Northern California, how that may impact your Labor Day weekend.
Mystery land purchases might be for a new city. Why nearby mayors are decided on the idea. All right, if you are planning to head to the Bay Area over the Labor Day weekend, just know that all westbound lanes of the Carquinez Bridge is closed from Hercules to Vallejo for a resurfacing project. Eastbound lanes will stay open, but of course, expect traffic. And the closure will end at 5 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Traffic will be detoured from the Sacramento area along I-5. People can take 580 or Highway 4. You can also take I-80 all the way down to 37. And then drivers kind of had a nice surprise today. It rained in Sacramento. Oh, yeah. Look, there we go.
There it is. Yeah,
unusual.
We saw some rain out there, maybe in your backyard. You were like, what is that? But it was only really trace amounts of rain, nothing too measurable out there to really put it in the books. Today, we saw highs in the upper 70s for Sacramento, 77 degrees with the high today was 78 in Marysville, 81 in Stockton, and 80 in Modesto. This is almost a 20-degree drop from yesterday's high. Sacramento was at 96 degrees yesterday, 66 for the high in Placerville, 68 in Jackson. We currently do have a low-pressure system over us that's circulating a lot of that moisture, some rain pushing our way with those thunderstorms as well. We will continue to see thunderstorm chances into your Saturday. Now, this is going to push for most of those foothill spots and into the high Sierra. Everything really about Yuba City north as well could see some thunderstorms. Meanwhile, mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies moving in and out of the area for tomorrow. Take a look as we start to see Friday tonight at 10 p.m. Placerville north, a few more scattered showers, and then just a few clouds overnight into the early morning hours. A few more scattered showers just pushing through most of the foothill and Sierra areas. And then finally, again, just kind of clouds in and out through the weekend with still those shower chances. So again, if you're going to head toward the high Sierra, Truckee, South Lake Tahoe, Do expect to get some rain and scattered showers throughout your stay for the weekend. And do keep in mind we could see some thunderstorm chances. So if thunder roars, go indoors in the meantime and then wait to head back out. We will start seeing clearing as we get toward Labor Day on Monday, with winds for the weekend about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then moving toward the high Sierra, we'll see some more of those strong winds over the Sierra crest there. Finally, into next week, really just seeing pretty light winds. Areas of the foothills tomorrow in those mid-70s to upper 70s. And we're actually looking at that 10-day forecast with upper 70s for the weekend, 86 and 87 Monday, Tuesday, with low 90s for the rest of the week.
All right, thanks, Carly. Next, on To the Point. Nearby mayors divided on the idea of a new city and what borrowers need to know about student loans. Welcome back. We've been talking about this a lot the last few weeks. Could a new city be coming to Solano County? For years, a company called Flannery Associates have been buying all this land from farmers and other landowners at high prices. And now we know that company's investors are billionaires with ties to the tech industry. They now have a website called California Forever, and they are pitching a new city on this land as, quote, a chance for a new community, good-paying local jobs, solar farms, and open space. The leaders of nearby Rio Vista and Sassoon City are divided on the issue.
We probably will get better medical access. We probably will get better stores. We'll get better restaurants, but we're going to get a lot more traffic.
The better thing would be to approach our city leaders and work with us within our city boundaries, not to create a new city. I think that endeavor is a bit self-motivated with their own end goal, which is to create a new playground for who they want there versus what the needs of our residences are and our community members.
Households in Solano County have received surveys about creating a community advisory board. Local and federal officials also have questions about the group's intentions, and let us know what you think. You can always text me and the team at 916-321-3310. And today, interest on student loans started accruing again. So this means that student loan payments are one step closer to resuming on October 1st. So what does this mean for students, and how can borrowers get help?
Many students have racked up big bills because of student debt at one nearby university.
It's upwards of $30,000.
Last semester, I ended up taking out about $5,000 in student loans.
For 3 years during the pandemic, the clock stopped on interest rates for federal student loans before restarting again today.
Today marks the day, unfortunately, that interest starts accruing on federal student loans that have been enjoying a 0% interest rate. And it also marks the real time to start getting ready to start making payments again.
That's a scary thought, especially for students who plan to continue their education.
It is very tedious to worry about your studies and worried about having to pay back, loans or debt.
I graduated from dental school in 2019.
Annalise Erickson has been a dentist for more than 3 years.
I owe somewhere around $470,000 to $480,000. And I didn't take out any student loans for my undergrad. So that's all straight dental school loans. I think my largest loan is about $70,000. And that's on a 7.6% interest rate.
Here's 3 tips for people paying back your loans.
Make sure you know where your loans are, which you can do at studentaid.gov. Make sure that you know what your payment is. And if you can't afford that payment, look into the various lower payment options that are available to federal student loans.
The thought of paying back student loans can be difficult to process.
In order to keep up with the interest rates, I would have to start making payments of at least $3,000 a month. That's how much pure interest my loans accrue every month.
But financial experts say there are ways to make it all work out.
And this is going to be a big test for people's monthly budgets. Many are already dealing with higher borrowing costs following interest rate hikes. Every Friday, John Bartell takes us on the back roads. Tonight, we are headed to a fortress that was built on the Sonoma coast.
It was here in 1812 on this quiet coastal bluff in Sonoma County that Native American tribes watched as land-grabbing explorers built a mighty fortress equipped with cannons.
Both the Russians and the Spanish were at the ends of their empire, and the Spanish actually considered this their territory.
The wooden fortress became known as Fort Ross. Today, it's a state park, but in the early 1800s, it was a Russian settlement and the Russians saw it as a boundary line between them and the encroaching Spanish Empire. The land in this region has two valuable resources: fertile land and fur.
The sea otter was the most valuable. One pelt was worth up to $100 back then. That was like a year's salary for a farmer.
Interpreter Hank Birnbaum says the Russian fur trade was big business, and Alaska was one of their primary hunting grounds. But due to the difficulty of growing food and getting supplies in the area, they expanded their territory to Northern California, and they didn't go alone.
And I'd like to give special attention to the Alaskans. Often there were more Alaskans here, Alaska natives, than there were Russians.
While in Alaska, the Russians enslaved indigenous Alaskan hunters and brought them here to Fort Ross.
This wouldn't have been successful, this whole adventure, if it wasn't for the Alaska natives. You can imagine them in their kamlaika. This would be made out of sea lion guts.
The Alaskan hunters weren't the only natives living at Fort Ross. Shortly after their arrival, the Russians came to an agreement with the local Kashaya tribe to live on their land and employ the Kashaya as laborers.
It's a very diverse community.
Absolutely, yeah. And then here, there was a lot of intermarriage with the Kashaya and Coast Miwok.
In all, a few hundred people lived in or around the fort. Along with hunting, the people here built large ships. They built homes, and although there was never a permanent priest, Russian Orthodox Christians built an ornate wooden chapel with enchanting acoustics.
Gospodи pomili, Gospodi pomili, Gospodi pomili. Hear how it fills the room, yes? And the cupola was designed, they say, to help send the prayers or the songs to heaven.
Even though the Spanish and Russian empires were in a race to claim California, there was never actually an attack or an attempt to breach the giant walls of Fort Ross.
You know, in terms of the Spanish and Russians, they need each other more than they need to fight each other.
Instead of fighting, the Spanish, the Russians, and the Native Americans found it easier to trade goods and services with each other. And this coexistence lasted for around 30 years, until there was no more otters to hunt for fur.
Sadly, now the otters are gone. Hopefully, if we give Mother Nature a hand, maybe the otters could come back and it would help stabilize the ecology here.
Fort Ross was never forgotten. After Russian fur hunters left, settlers moved into California during the gold rush. Today, though, state parks uses Fort Ross to teach lessons from the past and educate people about future preservation.
That dual purposes, right? Both of enjoy, recreate, so forth, but also to learn from and to bring balance and health.
From Fort Ross State Historic Park, I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Now it's your turn. Got something in your town that would be a great road trip destination? Make sure you let John know by texting your idea to 916-321-3310. Next, on To The Point, it's almost fall and Apple Hill is celebrating their start to the busy season. All right, it's officially September and it's a little bit cooler today and people are already enjoying a taste of fall. This weekend is opening weekend for Apple Hill, so we sent photojournalist Xavier Uardi up to Highway 50 to check it all out.
It's a staple for this area. When it's the first day of Apple Hill, it starts the season and it gets us into fall, and with this kind of weather, it definitely sets the precedent for the rest of the season.
And what's something you guys look forward to aside from the weather? What's any particular food item you're excited
Obviously,
about?
apple donuts.
Yeah, the apple fritter at High Hill is the best.
Yes, and then we get the brisket sandwich at Boa Vista. So kind of make your rounds, support everybody, and help all the farmers and enjoy the season.
We just had a day off and we decided to come out here. The weather is beautiful. It's not too cold, not too hot. Seeing people walking around and having a great time and just being among other people. We live in such a busy world where it's go, 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 earn, but this is where you see people having a great time and community. It's great.
We try to do at least one time a year.
It's enjoyable and you make memories every year you come up here.
Every year we come at least one time, if not more. It's just a great place. It's not too far. It's not far of a drive. Lots to do, lots to see.
It's just a hop and a skip and a jump up the hill, so it's not too far away.
A reminder to people visiting Apple Hill, try to go on a weekday. The weekends are often very packed. El Dorado County says, quote, prepare for craziness if you're coming on an October weekend, especially after 10 a.m. As always, we love that you join us here on this Friday evening. Make sure you let us know what's going on in your community. You can always reach out to me and the team at tothepoint@abc10.com. Have a great night. I'll see you on Monday. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.